When people think about moving abroad or just traveling, one of the first questions that comes to mind is safety. And when comparing countries like Ireland and the United States, the conversation gets interesting. Both countries are developed, democratic, and have modern infrastructure. But when it comes to safety, their differences are more striking than you might expect. Let's start with violent crime. Statistically, the United States has significantly higher rates of violent crime than Ireland. Homicide rates are a stark example. In Ireland, the murder rate is about 0.9 per 100,000 people. In the United States, it's closer to 6.5. That's over 7 times higher. While violent crime in the US tends to be concentrated in specific areas, the national average remains much higher than most Western countries, including Ireland. One of the biggest factors contributing to this difference is gun violence. The United States has more guns than people. In fact, it's the only country where civilian firearms outnumber citizens. Gun-related deaths, whether from homicide, suicide, or accidents, are a major issue. Ireland, on the other hand, has some of the strictest gun laws in Europe. Civilians can legally own guns, but the process is tightly controlled and heavily regulated. As a result, gun crime in Ireland is extremely rare. But safety isn't just about violent crime. Let's talk about theft, scams, and property crime. Here, the gap narrows. Pickpocketing and petty theft are more common in urban centers of both countries. Cities like Dublin or New York can have pockets of trouble, especially in tourist-heavy areas. But overall, Ireland still tends to report lower crime rates across the board. One important note is that Irish police, called the Gardaí, generally don't carry firearms. The idea is to maintain a community-based policing model which emphasizes de-escalation and public trust. It's not perfect, but it has worked reasonably well. Now let's look at road safety. This might surprise some people, but Ireland is statistically safer when it comes to traffic-related deaths. The US has over 12 road deaths per 100,000 people each year. In Ireland, that number is closer to 3.5. What's behind that difference? For one, driving distances are much shorter in Ireland. There are also more strict drink driving laws, widespread speed cameras, and fewer multi-lane highways. On the other hand, rural Irish roads can be narrow and winding, which does pose some risk. But overall, you're less likely to die in a car accident in Ireland than in the US. Another safety factor to consider is healthcare, not in terms of coverage, but emergency care. In Ireland, public hospitals are accessible and generally safe, though waiting times can be long. The United States has top-tier medical technology, but access is often limited by cost. If you're in a major accident or need emergency care and don't have insurance, that can become a financial disaster. So, in a way, access to safe and affordable emergency treatment is more reliable in Ireland, despite its slower system. Let's talk natural disasters. The US is a massive country with extreme weather events: hurricanes, tornadoes, wildfires, earthquakes, floods. These are regular occurrences in many parts of America. Ireland, by contrast, has a mild, if wet, climate. The worst you're likely to face in Ireland is heavy rain and the occasional winter storm. So, if we're talking about environmental safety, Ireland wins that category by a wide margin. Now let's balance the scales a bit. The US is enormous and diverse. Many regions are very safe. Suburban neighborhoods, small towns, and even parts of big cities can have low crime and high quality of life. There are also more economic opportunities in the US, which for some people is part of feeling secure. Ireland is much smaller and more homogeneous, which contributes to its lower crime and stronger community ties. But it can also mean fewer job options and higher costs in certain sectors like housing. So, what's the verdict? If we're talking statistically, it's about violent crime, gun safety, road deaths, and natural disasters. Ireland is clearly the safer country overall. But safety also depends on where you live, how you live, and what kind of lifestyle you're looking for. In both countries, there are safe and unsafe places, and in both, the right preparation can make your life secure and fulfilling. The bottom line? If safety is your number one concern, Ireland probably edges out the US. But no country is perfect. And often, how safe you feel comes down to community, routine, and making smart choices, no matter where you are.